The following teacher development program is brought to you by the MultiChoice Africa Foundation.
Did you make this yourself?
Of course, I'm great at curry and all, you know?
Here goes my diet plan. So what have you got planned for this weekend?
Not much. There's cricket on TV tonight.
Tonight? Is it a repeat broadcast?
No, it's live. South Africa versus New Zealand. Tell me, do you have a newspaper?
No, sorry.
No, I just want to see what time it's on. Because of the time difference, I'll probably have to wake up very, very early in the morning.
Well, we can check on my computer. What time does the game start over there?
It's 10 in the morning. It's a one-day game.
Then we'll do it after lunch.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay, we go to settings, control panel, date, time. Then we go to time zones. Moscow, Kuwait. South Africa, +2.
+2 what?
GMT +2. Greenwich Meridian time +2 hours. The whole world uses Greenwich in the UK as a reference for their time.
Okay, and New Zealand is GMT +12. So that means they are 12 hours earlier than us.
No. Okay, pick up your two mistakes.
Oh, yes. We are +2, they are +12, so the time difference is... the time difference is 10 hours.
And they're not earlier than us. If you're watching at night, it's much later there. In fact, it could be the next morning.
So if the game starts at 10 in the morning there tomorrow, that means in South Africa you're going to see it in, let's see, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. We'll see it here during midnight.
Good luck with your staying up. I see here Hawaii's -10. Nelson said he might get a chance to go there since he's in the States.
So if you phone him from here at 8 o'clock in the morning, it will be 8 o'clock at night the day before.
Well, I could say hello from tomorrow.
Wait a minute. Hawaii is fairly close to New Zealand, yeah? So how come the other one is much earlier than us and the other one later than us?
Because they're on opposite sides of the international date line.
What?
The international date line. Here. Let me show you. It's this line here. It separates a calendar date.
Yeah, but why is it going funny? It's going zigzag instead of going straight.
So that that little bit of Russia there is not separated by date. Imagine if that wasn't done. People in the same place would be separated by dates. It's the same as here. So people in the eastern countries, where the sun comes up first, get light much earlier. And people in the countries on the west, where the sun goes down, get the light much later.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, where does this go?
No, it's fine here on the counter.
Okay, let me see. If the sun is here, that means they're waking up in New Zealand. And then they're waking up in India. And then finally, it's us South Africans waking up.
And here in America, Nelson's still sleeping.
How do you calculate the time difference?
Well, east of GMT, you add the time difference. West of GMT, you subtract the time difference. I'll do a number line now. then it will be easier to understand. We have 0 degrees in the middle, which is on the GMT line. Then we have all these different degrees of longitude, 30 degrees, 60, 90, and so on. As you can see, every 30-degree difference is equal to a 2-hour difference. East of the 0, you add. West of the 0, you subtract.
All right. If I hold this over here, it will be 0. There is 30 degrees east, which is plus 2 hours, right?
Right. And South Africa is on that line. So is Turkey. So they have the same time as us. See?
Hey, but flying all over the world could be confusing. Eh?
Not really, according to Mr. Morake of Leshatab Secondary School.
Mr. Muntwedi Morake is teaching a maths literacy lesson on time zones and exchanging currency. He has borrowed a map from the geography teacher to explain some of the concepts.
We have countries on this side, which is the west. We have countries on this side, which is the east. Ne? Now, we have what we call the GMT, that is the Greenwich Meridian Time. The Greenwich Mean Time. This is the one that determines the times, different times for countries. We have the lines of the longitude which run from the North Pole to the South Pole. Now, these lines are actually divided into different degrees. They run from 0 degrees to 360 degrees.
It's important to realize that all time zones are calculated from Greenwich Mean Time. Muntwedi gets one of the learners to point out where it is.
I think the line of 0 degree in the longitude, it comes across countries such as France, Algeria, Mali, and downwards to the Atlantic.
For every 30 degrees, there's a 1-hour difference.
For Earth to move from one longitude to the other, if it takes 1 hour, it shall have covered this angle, 15 degrees. If it's -2, that simply indicates from the GMT, we have to subtract these 2 hours. Like I indicated, from this 0 line to this direction, we subtract, to that direction, we add.
Now the learners are ready to think about the World Cup in 2010. Muntwedi explains that each group will be assisting a different country with their arrangements.
It's 2010. South Africa is hosting World Cup. Each group is going to represent different countries that have qualified to take part in this particular tournament, World Cup. What country do you represent?
United States. Brazil. Turkey. Nigeria. Canada. Japan.
Muntwedi asked the learners what time it will be in their home countries if the opening to the games is at 10 in the morning in Johannesburg.
I think it would be midday, sir. In South Africa, it's 8 o'clock. In Japan, it's 3 o'clock, sir.
According to my calculations, when I calculate this, it will be 4 p.m.
In Japan?
Yes, in Japan when it is 8 o'clock here.
Moving from South Africa to Japan, there's a difference of 7 hours. So if you add this 7 to this 8, will give you 15 hours. So somebody who said, if it's 8 o'clock in South Africa, then in Japan, it's 15 hours, was correct.
It's time now for a more challenging time zone exercise. The learners have to calculate what time they would need to depart from their home countries to get here in time. They have to keep the time difference and the length of the flight in mind.
Now you need to work out the time that you have to take off from your country to South Africa, taking into consideration the length of the flight.
The learners not only have to add and subtract to get the correct time in their time zone, they also have to add up the hours for the flight. The easiest way to calculate this is to make a numbers line with different times on it. Then you can easily count back and forth in time.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Which day is this? Mona. It's Monday. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. In your country, it will be 3 o'clock Monday. And then in South Africa, it will be 8 a.m. Monday.
Some of the learners have listed the hours of the day underneath one another, and they are using that to count out the time. This is another way of doing it. Once the learners have figured out what flight their team must take, they have to calculate how much money they should take with. To do this, they have to calculate exchange rates.
We have 10,000.
625 pockets.
Okay.
And then they come here in South Africa.
Each player has to have 600 yes, into rands. And it becomes 10,000 rands.
Muntwedi explains how to convert currency.
If, say, for an example, 1 rand, rather, $1 American is equals to 6 rand. I want you to work out what will happen if a South African goes to America and is having 10,000. How much will he or she be having in terms of dollars?
I'm going to convert 10,000 rands into dollars.
Into dollars, yes.
Okay. I'm going to divide 10,000 by 6 rand. Then it's $1,666.7.
Because we want dollars, we'll put that as X. X is our unknown. We're looking for amount of dollars. Now you multiply this, you get X. And then you multiply the 2, you'll get. You divide this, it's 6 rand. You also divide that 6 rand. So I'll press a calculator how correctly your answer will be.
The learners have to first find out how much international currency they need to afford their stay in South Africa, which will cost 10,000 rands. They then need to calculate how much of their home currency they need to buy the international currency. To give the learners a sense of how unpredictable currency exchanges can be, Muntwedi has made sure that the exchange rates which the teams will use to convert their currency into rands is different from the rates they bought their currency at. This means when they convert to rands, they could be in for a surprise.
We found that 1 yen is equal to 16 rands, 16 South African rand. And so we decided that we'll divide 10,000 rand by 16 rands. We did that, but then to find that on Monday there's a deflation. 1 yen is no longer 15 rands, 16 rands, but 15 rands. And when we times our full amount by 15 rands, it's much less than it should be. And so we decided to add on that 10,000 rands, 300 rands on top, so that on Monday, our 15, when there's deflation, we still have 10,000 rands to spare. And so we added 300 onto our 10,000 rands. Now it was 10,300 rands. And we divided that with 600 rands, which gave us 643 rands, 75 cents. Yes.
Now it's time for each team to report back.
Cook 1 1,741 million lira. And now that we are here in South Africa, it has lost value. We are down to 9,908, and we have to have 10,000. So if you can give us a donation.
In terms of keeping good time, a flight from Brazil to South Africa takes 14 hours. So we had to take a 1 p.m. plane for us to pitch exactly at 8 a.m. here in South Africa. By the time an opening ceremony starts at 10, at home in Brazil it will be 5 o'clock in the morning.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Yang Chong. I'm the Minister of Sport in Japan. When it comes to money, 1 yen is equals to 15 rand. So each member has 666.67 yens to spend. And when we convert it to rands, each member will have 10,000. And all in all, the team is going to spend 13,333.4 yens, which will be 200,000 when we convert it to rands.
By picking a topic close to the hearts of these learners, Mondwedi has really made this lesson come alive.
You know what? I'd like to travel to the Bahamas. Imagine those girls in their bikinis. Lebo.
Well, I'd love to travel to the US and visit Nelson.
So why don't we travel together? Air hostesses. Yeah, that's another thought.
You and your dirty mind.
No, I mean how confused they must get. They gain or lose hours all the time.
You're right.
Cabin crew could get very confused. Fortunately, as Mpumi Sambo of SAA explains, she and her colleagues are accustomed to applying maths literacy to the challenges they face.
Generally, when you fly from country to country, especially when you're flying from either east to west or west to east, whichever way you're going, what happens is there's going to be a time difference between the two countries. When you fly west, then it's going to be, they are like a few hours behind South African time because they are in the west. But now when you're flying east, they're going to be a few hours ahead because you must remember that the sun rises in the east. So they are going to be ahead of the west. We've got this worksheet that works as a guideline whereby you can look up where you are and where you'd like to go. So by counting the number of lines of different time zones, then you'll be able to determine whether to add or minus the time of the airport where you're going. What I'm doing here is I'm checking what time it is right now in Hong Kong, setting my watch to that time. So the time is now 10:45 South African time. So what I do is, because Hong Kong is 6 hours ahead of South Africa, they are on Greenwich +8, and we are on Greenwich +2. So what happens is I have to add 6 hours to our South African local time, which is 10:45, 11:45, 12:45, 1:45, 2:45, 3:45, 4:45. That is what time it is in Hong Kong right now.
But how could anyone ever budget in such cases?
So we've got a fixed amount in US dollars that you get paid in. So what happens is you take that amount and you convert it into the currency of the country where you're going. So sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. I would say that there is no job, regardless of what you do, whether it be a cleaner, at some point you're gonna have to count how much of what you're gonna use and how much of what you're gonna spend, and you know. So it's very important that maths, you take maths, you do maths, and whatever job you're gonna do, you're gonna need it. Trust me, you will. Whatever it is, whether it be flying around the world.
Hey, I've got a great Indian recipe for paneer korma. I think I'll do that for tonight.
Paneer what?
Oh, wow. It's divine. It's homemade cheese in a cashew nut sauce. You cook it.
Tilani's sleeping with a friend tonight. I'm all alone and I don't feel like cooking. I'd love to taste that. Well, come and watch the cricket with you tonight.
But you don't like cricket.
It's never too late to start liking it. Let's go.